Thank you, David, for the introduction. I'm hoping I can share my screen. Yes. Okay. First of all, hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for your attendance. And to start with, I have to point out I'm not an expert to present something to you in this knowledge bite, but rather I would like to share information about this symposium that we are trying to put together and to raise interest and invite you to participate. So as stated, the dates are May 17 and 18 in Istanbul. And let me start with the general description of this symposium. First of all, what is the concept of research-based learning? As I said, I'm really not an expert in this field, but as most of you university professors, we teach by profession. So we are, if not trained to teach, we are very active in teaching. So we are aware that we have many models to represent learning and to achieve learning. And research-based learning is a relatively new concept where we bring the state-of-the-art research outcomes into the classroom. So this allows students to come face-to-face with real-life challenges. So this sort of reverses the traditional approach of building knowledge bottom-up. So what do we mean by this? So traditionally, we have courses that are designed in a specific way. They have a well-defined syllabi. So they have a certain list of topics. They follow maybe a textbook where the content is organized in a very specific way, starting from some point and building on that to reach a certain level of maturity. And in contrast, the way we understand research-based learning is, rather than starting with fundamentals and growing the education experience towards a broad level of understanding, what we do is we put the student face-to-face with an actual problem, which is not really a toy example, but it's a real life scenario which has real concrete effects on people's lives. So they take this problem and they maybe at the beginning they do not know how to approach the problem. Maybe they do not know how to define the problem, how to put boundaries on the problem. But the role of the teacher here is more or less guide the student on how to approach the problem, maybe define some assumptions, and try to come up with which foundational knowledge or which subjects or which techniques or which methods are applicable in such a scenario. Obviously, there could be multiple solutions depending on how you put the boundaries, how you make assumptions, etc. So the experience of anybody taking part in this process, even with the same problem, the experience can vary. But the main idea is, rather than starting from a theoretical foundational knowledge and building up incremental, let's say, experience, rather than that, you just put the problem in front of the student and let the student come up with or research or find out by themselves what tools are necessary or helpful to solve such a problem. So in a general sense, this is what we mean by research-based learning. And to discuss all these, we are designing this research-based learning symposium, and we have some specific goals with this program. And this is taken from the guidelines of the ELISA project. So these are quite specific, maybe not very broad in the sense that research-based learning is related to all of these. But one of the main goals is research outcomes completed within ELISA communities. So this is probably the most important aspect of the symposium that we can talk about today. But in addition to that, we also aim to talk about innovative applications dealing with links between education and research and development. Also societal engagement in the sense that we explore the relationship between university and industry, or regulating bodies, non-governmental organizations, etc., that will facilitate research-based learning activities. Also entrepreneurship that, again, enables research-based learning. Also experiences and case studies related to ELISA pilot tracks. And these pilot tracks are, well, since you are involved with communities, I'm sure you are familiar with these: smart, green, and resilient cities, also sustainable and smart industry. So another aspect is about the research agenda within the ELISA consortium, so that how we can approach these pilot tracks based on especially the learning aspect involving students. So in a general sense, this is what we aim with the symposium. But as I said, again, let me emphasize, since we are today we are gathered with especially community representatives, the main focus is going to be the research outcomes completed within ELISA communities. Okay, so with this symposium, what are the stakeholders? So who can attend, who can participate, who can present, who can talk at this event, etc. So number one, we have students, and student engagement is very important to us. In fact, it's defined as one of the performance indicators in this project. So we put great emphasis on student engagement. And if you have any student members in your communities, we strongly encourage their participation. Also, researchers and technical leaders from academia. Obviously, this also includes teaching personnel. I mean, not only researchers, but by researchers, we also mean professors. Also, as I said, external partners such as industry and nonprofit partners, state and local government officials, and other stakeholders such as technology developers. So in a general sense, since learning is related to so many groups of people, we can actually give more stakeholders here, but in a general sense, this is the target audience, and students is at the top because this is at the end related to learning, and the most important actor in the learning process is the student themselves. Okay, so we do have a tentative outline of the symposium. It's 2 days, May 17 and May 18. And we start with a keynote speech. We have more information on this on the ELISA website. We have the event page for this symposium. You can visit. Maybe I will share the link in due course. And we will start with the keynote speaker, and it will be followed by a panel consisting of mainly researchers active in research-based learning, as well as engineering education in a broader sense, and in an even more broader sense, STEM education. So in this panel, we expect discussions on the foundational aspects, the philosophical aspects of research-based learning. How do we define it specifically? What are the differences between it and its related approaches? Let's say, for instance, challenge-based learning or project-based learning or experience-based learning. So there are many approaches to learning. So what puts research-based learning apart from them? What are the advantages and what are the practical applications? So we would like to hear answers to such questions from experts, researchers actively working on this. And in the afternoon session, we have external collaboration session for research-based learning. And let me emphasize again here, we have, for instance, industrial partners, non-governmental organizations or regulatory bodies, etc. But for instance, take industrial partners, like a simple internship is a collaboration. But what we are looking for beyond that is an aspect based on learning. So obviously students learn through internships, but we are looking for collaboration beyond simple internship arrangements. So there is a specific, let's say, a goal for a program. Let's say they have a specific type of company recruits a specific type of students. So they put together activities that go beyond routine internships that enable learning. Or another example I can think of is, let me give an example from our student teams here at ETU. I was told that there are collaborations between student teams and some industrial companies. The company provides, well, not only financial aid, but beyond that, they provide some materials and equipment. And they, in exchange for that, they expect the student teams to actually report them on the performance of these, so that it's a win-win scenario. The student team gets equipment and materials that is necessary for their project, and at the same time, the company gets data or experimental results from the student team. So it works both ways, and it's a good example of research-based learning, because the student, as an extracurricular activity, is involved with, let's say, performing some engineering tests, maybe not covered in the traditional curriculum. Examples such as those are valuable for us. Another aspect could be industrial graduate programs. It could be master's level or PhD level, maybe in a specific way funded by industrial partners and tailored towards the needs of the industrial partner, but it is still an academic work, so it involves a heavy research. There are many models for this, so I'd like to hear those. How do they work? What are some methods that are applied in ELISA partners, etc. And also regarding non-governmental organizations or regulatory bodies, what can be some challenges that can be given to students to use in research-based learning activities, and in a broader sense, especially regarding local authorities and governing bodies, how can we better enable research-based learning in terms of regulations? So this session is devoted to external actors mostly, and this completes the first day. In the second day, in the morning session, we have new ways of learning and ELISA experiences. So here we would like to hear from ELISA partners regarding their research-based learning activities. What do they do specifically, both curricular and extracurricular, and both graduate level and undergraduate level. And furthermore, we would like to hear from students, especially about their ELISA experiences. So they might have attended certain ELISA activities up to date, or they might be part of a student team and they might want to promote their work. They might want to present their team and talk about how they approach certain problems. And this session is devoted to that. And in the afternoon session, we wrap up with the research agenda workshop. So where do the communities fall here? And we do have the community posters. There is no dedicated session to this. And we will ask your participation with posters. And the posters will be available to be seen throughout the entire duration of these 2 days. And depending on the final program, we plan to set aside a specific dedicated time slot so that every community representative is present by their posters. But outside of this session, all the attendees will be able to observe the posters and get informed about your communities. So what do we expect in the community posters? As I said, one of the goals is the research outcomes produced by the community. So this is specifically stated in the grant agreement of the project. Therefore, in the midterm or in the long term, we would like to showcase the outcomes of the activities, especially research activities of the communities. But we recognize that most of the communities are not that mature. Maybe they are in maybe beginning phases. They are still recruiting people. Maybe they are defining themselves very recently. So there may not be very heavy research outcomes, let's say. So that is natural and that's okay. So if you do have research outcomes, definitely we would like to see them in these posters. But if you don't have outcomes yet, that's okay. In that case, what we would like to see is the general goal of the community. So what are you aiming to tackle as a challenge? What is the challenge you are taking on? And maybe what is your motivation? And in addition, regarding your community members, what are the backgrounds and what are their previous work that can be foundational towards the goal you set for your community? And your future plans, sort of a roadmap. How are you going to bring these previous work together? And how are you going to put them together to achieve your specific goal? And obviously, any other aspects you would like to present can be in your poster. By the way, this depends very much on the community, in the particular community. But if you would like to maybe prepare multiple posters, that's also welcome. Another point I would like to make is if you have student members, they are especially welcome and encouraged to be present in the symposium as a community representative. Obviously, the number of representatives to attend the symposium, that depends on you. As the organization committee, we would like to welcome as many of you as possible, but that depends on how much you would like to convey. So this is, in a general sense, what we expect to see in a community poster. Let me also briefly talk about the venue. This is in ITÜ's campus. So we have a number of campuses scattered around in Istanbul, but this is the main campus, and this is the convention center. And the symposium is going to take place in this building. We have a big convention hall, and we have some galleries here that we can set the posters up. And in fact, let me give you an inside view here. You see a view from, I think this is the second floor. So we have a number of floors that can be employed to showcase these posters, depending on, maybe you can group them in terms of the SDGs they tackled, etc. So we can set aside some certain time slots for different communities. And I think that this will be capable to host all the communities here. And let me also give you a sneak peek of a busy atmosphere in this venue. So we expect a large participation, especially from researchers such as yourselves and also students. Okay, so finally, we hope to see you all in Istanbul in May. And this on the left-hand side is an aerial view of our main campus. Actually, on the left-hand side, you see the convention center. This is where the event is going to take place. And we will have social programs also to enjoy May in Istanbul. So we will definitely would like to see you in attendance. And I will write my email in chat. If you have any questions, we can talk, and we can even set small meetings if you like. We can talk about, maybe if you like to participate in the organization of the symposium itself, that's also very welcome. And any questions you have, you can email me. Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much also for these pictures that make it a little bit more lively to imagine where one's heading to. But now we have plenty of time for questions, and you're welcome to pose your questions. Yes, Carlos.
Hi, it's really nice to see this opportunity to keep contact with those people really far away from Istanbul. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Yes, I have two questions about this workshop. Do you have any information about the fees of the attendance?
Yes, maybe I should clarify that. First of all, the attendance is free, so registration is not going to be charged. On the other hand, obviously, there is travel costs attached. And for that, every community member, I mean, communities are not really affiliated to a single institution, obviously. That's by definition of communities, you have to have multiple partners. But there will have to be a process on the decision on who is going to travel as the community representative. So the principle is whoever the community member is traveling to Istanbul, and the partner of that member or the institution of that member is going to cover the travel costs. So there will have to be a sort of coordination between ELISA partners, because obviously all communities have members from multiple partners, and in a general sense, it has to be decided who will attend the symposium to represent each community. And probably the final decision is going to be taken by each partner institution. So we can also, for specific communities, we can talk specifics in terms of who wants to attend, who will represent. As I said, we are open to multiple participants. That's great. But at the end of the day, it will come to the budget available to each partner. So in that aspect, we'll have to talk with especially Work Package 5 representatives from each ELISA partner.
Okay, thank you. The second question is about any idea about the deadlines to send, the presentations, the posters, etc.?
About participants, I mean the names, we are aiming for the end of this month. So around the end of February, we would like to have maybe not the final list, but a rough idea about who is going to come from which institution. About the posters themselves, I think we still have time. Probably we can expect them, I would say, around mid-April.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Let me put my email on the chat. So if you have any questions, please write to me. As I said, beyond emails, if you like, we can arrange small meetings. So we are open to any collaboration, any participation in any form. Please just let us know.
Okay, maybe there is another question, so it's a little bit your last chance to pose it.
David, may I add something?
Yes, sure.
Akif, can you please stop the sharing for a minute? So I can see. Okay, thanks. I have shared the Miro board of the event, so it's organized with InnoCore Symposium, because in addition to RBL Symposium, there is another one, which is InnoCore. It will be a 3-day event, so probably many of the participants will be the same people. So we are trying to think them together. I've just shared the screen, the Miro board, sorry. So we are trying to make ELISA an open project for which anyone interested can contribute, share thoughts, and help us with the development of the ELISA European University model. So please add your comments or suggestions on the Miro board so that it can be more easy perhaps for Akif to get in touch with you and discuss different topics or questions which may emerge later after this meeting. So thanks.
Okay, thank you, Emrah. And yes, are there other comments or questions? It does not seem to be the case. Yes, then we can come towards the end of this meeting. Anyhow, Akif, thank you very much for your interesting insights to the research-based symposium in Istanbul. And again, thank you all for having spent your lunchtime with us today. If you have any further questions about ELISA Knowledge Bytes or want to learn more about ELISA communities, please write an email to elisa@fau.de. We will meet again in 2 weeks. This time, the Knowledge Bytes will be about integrating research and development in the curricula to increase student involvement in scientific activities. Speaker will be from BME, and further information and the link to registration will be found soon available online on the ELISA Knowledge Bytes subpage of the ELISA website. And thank you again, and have a wonderful weekend. And see you in Istanbul.
Thank you very much, David.